Welcome to McFarland's Corner. I'm Mike McFarland, the Lake Fork Guide, and your host of a whole lot of different shows that we shoot right here in this studio. But today is going to be a special edition of the Lake Fork Free Public Rundown. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to give you guys a Merry Christmas present, but I'm going to give you a taste, a version of what the new members only channel is going to be like for 2025. Okay, the members only channel has over 300 members privately. We really get into a lot more detail specifically about the bass on Lake Fork, but we also cover a bunch of other lakes. We cover Ray Hubbard, Lavon, Possum Kingdom, OH, Ivy, Bodark, sometimes Palestine. We're going to be getting Texoma. And so many more. So the members only rundown is meaty. It gives you a lot more information and a lot of other options. But today, again, this is the free public rundown. Merry Christmas. All right, we're going to start with the lake conditions. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, lake was on the rise from light rains, nothing heavy, no big changes, major changes, but enough. And remember that rising water will rise fish, not necessarily in the winter, but generally rising water brings them up. It brings them in, brings them up. In cold water, that's a bit different, just a little. If it's warm raised water, we got 2 foot of warm water, they're gonna come in. Anyways, dropping now, just very slow, but we are ultimately at 400.67 elevation, which is about 2 foot 3 inches below full pool. 0 to 2 clarity. The lake looks great. We talk all the time about, in the members channel, about water clarities and what you're looking for on Fork. Lake Fork has 2 common colors when it's healthy. One is called gunmetal blue. Mark Pat shared that with us. That's what, when you're driving over a bridge, if it looks gunmetal blue, it's good, healthy water. It's a little more on the clean side, clear side. If it is green, Lake Fork green is what Mark used to also say, that's very, very healthy. That's some more of that summer water, warmer water. And it's a little dirtier, but it's not dirty, if that makes any sense. So Lake Fork green and gunmetal blue is what you're looking for. Anything in between is turnover or flooded, muddy, etc. conditions. Winds shake it up. But Lake Fork green, gunmetal blue is what we want. That's what we got, gunmetal blue. So good winter, beautiful water. Even my pond has really come around and look beautiful right now. 49 to 51, that is winter water. When we're below 54 degrees, Mark Peck always said, get your flipping stick out, get your jig, and get to hitting them stumps and stuff in the creek swings. We are below 49, 51, but I'll tell you, the fish still are biting pretty good. We had a very, very late fall. We talked about a lot of different things that came very late. In fact, the leaves on the trees just fell. December 19th, December 18th, 19th, they fell all at once. I hadn't hardly done any leaf work in my yard, and I'm sure y'all saw it if you live here. Bam! There they were. It was the most leaves I've ever seen fall all at once. But anyways, we're late, so these late temperatures, the fish are just starting to feel this cold. It's finally affecting the deeper water. Remember, cold water sinks. So the backwaters and the shallow waters are going to get cold first, just like they warm up first. All right, so with that being said, here's the deal. Here's the members only version, the Merry Christmas version for you about our fishing report. When we get cold, all right, we have cold spells, a couple 2-3 day cold spell, a couple 2-3 day warm spell. On the downside of the cold, when water's real cold and nothing's warm trending, like example tomorrow, I think Saturday's going to be really, really cold, even though the sun's shining. I'm definitely going to be concentrating on creek swings, channel banks, that's not necessarily deep water, but let me give you an example. So if I was to go up into Little Caney Creek, all the way up Little Caney Creek, I'm going to look in the creek swings. Every time the creek makes a swing, a bend, okay, I'm going to check the bends from the 6 to 12 foot, the 12 to 18 foot, and the 18 deeper. All right, and in those bends, meaning that range, that depth range, so I go all the way up in 6 to 12 foot range, find the bends and check them. And I want to check the rooted side if it's real bad weather and cold. If it warm trends, sometimes those fish will go up in the flats. But as I back out, I get 12 to 18 foot, Again, my whole goal is to find where the fish are, the concentration of bait and fish, because then I can replicate it throughout the lake. So if I find it in the 12 to 18 foot depth range, creek swings in Little Caney all the way up, I could probably go in Cheney Creek and Dale and Ray Branch and Bell and anywhere I want that is the same depth with creek swings. That's how you want to pattern the fish. If I'm fishing creek swings and things like that, I'm definitely going to have a jig. I like black and blue jigs. I like something that does make a little noise and clicking very lightly in the winter. And I want trailers that don't swim and paddle and thump. I want them more dead sticking, do nothing. Even though this looks like they're big trailers, they're just flaps, and they kind of more like float. Even in cold water, they just kind of float up a little. But I want very like a beaver. This is a Lake Fork Lures flipper, the old impact flipper. Texas rigged that. Something that is not a real erratic action. It's cold water. The bait, crawfish, things like that, they're not moving fast. So the other thing is I'll downsize. It gets really, really cold. I've learned that like sometimes they just won't eat the jig, that big jig, that 5-inch, 4-inch profile. Downsize to a little finesse jig that will eat it. Again, still just do nothing type trailers, just a little more compact, a little more smaller profile. Again, black and blues, browns, black and browns, ambers are really good in the winter. This is something here I want to share with you. Again, we're talking about when it's cold. If it's cold fronted and I'm retracted, I'm not fishing shallow. I'm not looking for warm trended fish. I'm fishing cold fish. It's creek swings, bends. We'll talk about some hard baits in a little bit. But the shaky head. Man, the shaky head is a perfect little bait for finicky fish, period, all year long. I have overlooked it in the winter. I go a lot to a finesse jig, but I overlook that shaky head in the winter. So a lighter weight shaky head, something you can kind of rock and fish real slow. June bug's always one of the best colors for me in the winter, cold or black and blue. But that shaky head, don't put that down. Little Lake Fork tip. This is members only stuff, but this is your Christmas gift. Black and blue, when the water does get a little tingy, gets a little funky color to it, or if you're around vegetation, have black, blue, and this orange. A little bit of orange in there. I'm telling you, that is, you could have a black blue jig with an Alabama Craw trailer, but I think just this orange, fire orange in the skirt is huge. It's huge, huge, huge. All right, locations again, those are going to be in those creek swings. I'm looking for roots. I'm looking for big stumps that have roots and things like that. The creek swing, and then the other side, it makes an underwater point. So those fish can go from the deep safety of the creek swing up onto the point and then scatter to a flat when it warm trains. If they go up on flats and things, then I'm going to switch to rattle traps, square bills. I like smaller baits early, but in Fork, I have found that sometimes the larger baits do get bit still in the winter. Those bigger fish looking for a good reward, looking for a mouthful of food because they got eggs. Something like the 2.5 or even the 4.0 square bill. This is green tomato, black and chartreuse, Mark Pack's favorite color on Fork this time of year. I like chartreuse blue all year long. And then just remember, you've got with square bills, you're going to have two different kinds of patterns of swimming. Wider wobble, more thump, tighter, faster. I generally, in the old days, I would have told you bigger, wider wobble when it gets cold. We used to go to like a wiggle wart in the winter. I loved a wiggle wart in winter. Man, it really had that hard swag. You could slow roll the wiggle wart, and it really had that swag, and I felt like that was huge in cold water. Today, we seem to talk more about tight and quiet, no noise. Don't forget the crawfish colors. This is spring craw, Berkeley, right here, the different side 5. But the spring craw colors are huge. The trap, the rattle trap, there's no doubt, or any of your this red eye shad here, lipless crankbaits. If you're struggling, you can't catch fish, go to a lipless crankbait, trap it out, you'll catch something. Again, crawfish colors, the reds are excellent. Sam Rayburn red, any of those chili bowl reds. If you're around a lot of shad in the winter and you find some shallow shad, kill a die off because of cold. Again, the small one, match the hatch of the shad that you see, and then this is just plain shad color. That right there, those hard baits, I'm only going to use when we warm trend. afternoon, mid-afternoon. So I may start in the morning when the creek swings, looking deep, hitting some stomps, things like that on the edges of breaks. And then as we warm trend, I may pull up on some shallow flats that might have warm trended with some good sun, some red clay points or concrete. A lot of the bridges, the bridge walls, the corners of the bridges, the sanctuary parts of the bridges where they're sheltering from the wind, but the sun is heating them up. I went in the back of Mustang the other day before the Mustang Bridge went to the left pocket. It had been sheltered and warm trended. You would not believe, probably half of the whole cove in the back was all gizzard shad. They were warm trending. It was something safe. There was a safe, cool, or a safe, comfortable, warm place in winter conditions. Watch the loons. Remember, guys, the loons are your friends this time of year. The loons will show you where those gizzard shad are. The loons love to dive, and they can hold their breath for 5 minutes and swim down to 180 feet or 60 meters. The loon is an amazing bird that will really help you key in on where the biggest gizzard shad are, where the groups of gizzard shad are. And just like the blue heron works in the shallow waters for us, that loon works in the deep water for us. So love to have the loon here now. Whew. I'm getting winded. I'm throwing you guys some info. You guys, I think, can see how much more the public's going to get. I mean, the members channel indulges in, and we're not even, we ain't got to the other lakes yet. So we're getting some patterns on how you fish a lake 4, members only style. I talked about baits. I got a couple more presentations. If I went live scoping, I'm going to get out in the mouths of any of the major pockets, creeks, big areas where I know the fish will move to spawn here soon in the next 6 weeks. Okay, they'll be piling up in the trees. Remember that the kid Trevor McKinney, I think, or not, I don't remember his name, that won the BAS last year with the record weights. He was down by Cheney Creek, out on the long points, and out on those suspended, or those deep trees with the bats suspended to the tops of the trees out in open water, just like they do at anywhere. That's what big fish do this time of year. Why is OHIV so good? It's got all those deep trees, 35, 40 foot, and they're suspending above those deep trees in open water, out on points. Okay? Anyways, that's the live scope. One of my favorite places to go scoping already now has been Wolf Creek. The mouth of Wolf Creek's nothing but trees, a field of trees with 3 feeders, Wolf Creek, and then a couple other feeders coming in. If those places, that's where the bass go spawn big time. Those trees are loaded. You got to go out there with those scope and find them. Find the level that the fish are at. They'll come up in the sun and they'll go down in bad conditions. Okay, they don't leave those trees. They stay in those trees up and down. If I'm scoping right now, the best 2 baits are going to be a jerk bait of some kind, shallow jerk bait if they're high in the tree column, deep diving jerk bait if they're not. Remember 2 things. Number 1, suspending. They have to be suspending so that you can work the bait as the fish comes. This is fishing with a screen. You'll see the bait, you'll see the fish coming, and you have to be able to stall the bait and let it, hover. So it needs to be suspending version. Shad colors are my favorite color this time of year. Just sexy shad, blue back shad. Sometimes you can get into the IU. I think the IU works a little better when the water's a little warmer, 55 degrees. But anyways, jerk baits. Remember, you're going to lose some in the trees. That's where that live scope really helps. You can see where the bait is on the scope, and when you're getting near trees. Helps a little bit, but plan on giving some of those deep jerk baits to the trees. The other one of my favorites with live scoping nowadays is the Alabama rig. And the reason I like the Alabama rig so much when I'm scoping is because I can see it real well. My clients can see it on the scope. It's 5 baits all at once. It's a big deal. I can see that thing I can find it real fast. So it helps educate you using live scope. If you even want to just get better using live scope, go out offshore in open water, just chuck one of these, get used to what you're scoping, where your bait is, where you need to be casting, okay? Get familiar with that, because it's like playing basketball. To see the fish in the live scope, you need to be able to make the basket. You need to be able to make the cast. That's all there is to it. So the Alabama rig and the jerk baits on live scoping, and that has been the gist of how I'm doing it. This is the key. Members only here, remember this. When it warm trends big, they do move in shallow. In the afternoons, they will sunbathe. They may eat shad in 15, 20, 30 feet. They'll go up in the shallow, calm water, warm trended water to sunbathe and core warm to digest the food. Big bass have eggs in them. They still eat. That's why round traps every year catch a giant fish and just foot of water on Rayburn and Toledo Bend and Huron Fork with a, you know, old school, nice old timer out there just chucking his route trap. He's just running bank, and he had to come across the right little warm trend area where there she was up there enjoying the sun. Sunbathers they are. All right. Before we get into the other lakes, and I'm just going to give you a taster of those, just a few, but I give you a couple that you'll want to fish this weekend through the holidays. I want to talk about something special. All right. I want to give big kudos and shout out to all the sponsors and all the support for the year. It's been amazing. Everything from the Texas Insider Fishing Report and Captain Rick Murphy and what he's done for us, for our business, and the support and the love that they've given us has been amazing. And all of our guides and captains that partake. Captain Rick Murphy, I wish you and your crew a very, very big Merry Christmas. And I'm grateful to be part of the staff and look forward to 2025. J. Hodge Chevrolet. These guys, I love them. They take such good care of me and the truck. And again, such a support, such a backer for McFarland Fishing and the Lake Fork Guide. More to come from J. Hodge Chevrolet. This is one of my favorites these days. Y'all know that I came here because I met Mark Pack years and years ago and fell in love with the guy as he created baits in 2010. Wanted to come here and actually host the show, Big Bass Battle. And Mark brought me here for a week, and we talked about doing that. And anyways, the bottom fell out. We don't need to talk about that. But the Lake Fork Trophy lures, put them up big, put it up for Mr. Pack. It's no longer Trophy lures. It's called Lake Fork lures. They've done a big rebrand. But here's the coolest thing. The love that they've shown, the owners that have bought Lake Fork Trophy lures and turned it into the revamp, the revive, have done some amazing, amazing things. And they've not only taken the Lake Fork baits and Mark's creations, they've purchased Mark Pack, Impact Shad, Impact lures, all the Impact structure guard jigs. They have also got the rod socks, all in one home, one factory, one place. Mark Pack and Ron Parker's legacy, and Mark Pack, the creator, the most paid up to. Love Mark Pack. What a deal. So to the sponsors, to others, so many others, I love it. You know, Yamaha and Skeeter Bass Boat. Wow, what an unbelievable 8 years I've been running with you guys now without a single hiccup or a glitch. Big shout out to you guys. And Lake Fork, back to this Lake Fork deal before I jump forward. I do want to promo this. This is huge. Signature Series by Mr. Jeff Sprague, MLF Jeff Sprague. He's produced something, one of the first new baits on Lake Fork lures in a long, long, long time. Awesome packaging. It's already won the Patriot Cup with this bait. And Mark would love this. Because Mark loved Jeff. Mark knew they were good friends. And here's the cool thing. Mark created baits like the Flipper and on the Magic Shad that were versatile baits. Mark called them 1-2 punches, combos. Okay, you don't fight just on, yeah, you fight with combos. So Mark said, I'm going out there and I'm going to throw the fish combos. And he created, his inventions were baits that were versatile, that could be used in so many different ways. So we're going to pull one of these out. First time I've opened the package up of these baits. They're in a beautiful clam, nice pipe. But this is the deal, impregnated with salt and garlic. Look, I know this is just a simple do-nothing bait, but in the wintertime, that's just what we talk about, okay? Here's the deal, though. This can be used Texas rig. It's got a nice flat surface, so it can skip under docks real well, punching, pitching, flipping. You can put it on a chatterbait. You can put it as a trailer. You can put it this way as a trailer, sideways as a trailer. You could use it as on a Carolina rig. You could use it as a jig trailer. You could use it as a swim jig trailer. The smell, awesome. Impact's alive. What Mark Pack's alive when I say impact. Lake Fork Trophy lures is the bomb. So thank you guys. To the men, to all the ladies, and everybody that's working there. And back to seeing one of the best quality products produced in the United States of America. Hats off to you and Merry Christmas. Go check them out. Lake Fork Trophy lures. Tell them you saw the show with McFarland. You want to get your hands on some of those baits. I recommend at least the green pumpkin, watermelon, red. Those two colors cover everything you're going to need to do and what you need to know. All right. Guys, if you can't see, there's a lot more detail in our members reports. They're not always this expensive, but they're close. But get this. Members only get the other lakes. Get other species as well. So we're going to start today. I do have some bass fishing coming up at other lakes, so I want you to stick around. You can hear these bass fishing reports. We're going to start Tawakoni with Matt Cartwright. Tawakoni is under 3 feet low. It's 54 degrees in the main lake. The hybrids are still on and off. Swim baits if the birds are working. Sand bass are biting good, catching a lot of small plastics, sand bass on small plastics in 25 to 40 feet, just dead sticking. Trophy catfish, those are already getting really good, 25, 30 feet, drifting large cut shad. The bass on Tawakoni, they're on the docks and rocks. The water's down, so they're looking for anything to be on. Any little stick sprog, anything that's in the water, you're gonna have a chance at a bass. Spinnerbaits, chatterbaits, square bills. And he laughs and showed me a funny face. Says, crappie, they're extinct in this lake. So let's go to Joe Shipley, one of my favorite guides right now out of Dallas. Coming out of Dallas, we just did a beautiful public video and interviewed Joe. He's such a nice, quiet, easygoing guy. Appreciate you, Joe. Check out Joe and Texas Frenzy Fishing. He says that Hubbard, 54 degrees to 58, depends on the warm trending. It's still 2 feet low. The bites are slow. You got to just drag that shaky head or finesse jig, okay, and let it do its thing. Let it sit. Let it dead stick. It's got to be in structure, but you can fish some fish out of the marinas, and you can run up in the northern end of the river arm. That's where you kind of want to be, but you just got to drag that shaky head really, really slow. He said slow, slow, slow. Find the warmest water you can. That's Hubbard. All right, we are going to go to Pete Hernandez in Possum Kingdom. Lake's full. It's stained. Bass are slow there. He's still struggling to really have a good fish time there. He thinks there could have a good golden algae bloom. So that's Possum Kingdom. We're going to hold off on any more of that one. Going down my list here. Kerry Thorne, Lake Lavon. Kerry Thorne, he said, first we'll talk crappie. The brush piles in 20 to 30 feet. Any submerged timber also holding them. The key there is 20 to 30 feet. There's only a few fish sitting in the 15 to 18 foot. Most of those fish are being caught on minnows. He said, however, 1/8 ounce hand-tied jigs tipped with minnows or soft plastics tipped with minnows. Any color will produce fish. Again, he thinks it's the minnow, but they're going to get better and better some days as this winter condenses and gets colder. So definitely keep those hair jigs and stuff. That hair jig has a lot more life as it gets colder and colder. That's where they're going to key in on, even over the minnows. The minnows are alive. They'll actually kind of get lethargic in the real cold. So your hair jig will work the best. All right. White bass on Lavon, sometimes on the points, but they've mainly been in the deeper water on humps and levees. A thumper, a loud thumper and slab spoons, that kind of thing is the deal. Black bass, so spinnerbait bite still strong. So on Lavon, go with a white chartreuse spinnerbait. Fish 1 to 5 foot around rocks, concrete. I bet you could probably catch them on some square bills too. Usually if you're fishing rocks and concrete this time of year, they'll eat a crankbait as well. Look for black water. Believe it or not, the black water means that it's just blacked out with shad, real shallow. And you want to stay around those areas because those bass are lurking and watching those shad. All right, and then I'll give you a couple more. These are the ones I recommend that if you don't want to come grind on fork for some bites, and really, you run across some good fishing right now. 8 to 10 fish a session, 6 to 12 foot of water, especially with the jigs and the shaky heads and Texas rigs, going slow. But if you want to go somewhere else, Lake Welsh has been incredible. Lake Welsh has a lot of vegetation. It's a power plant lake. Fish should be on the verge of starting to spawn soon. And getting on the beds. The power plant doesn't run as much, so it's not as warm as it's been in past years. But I recommend you go check out Lake Welsh. Just go fish shallow. Go throw some underspins, chatterbaits, spinnerbaits. Go throw some Texas rigs, weightless fluke shallow, run into some fish. You'll catch them. Run across the right thing. Some guys are catching 100 a day. All right, they're also live scoping out on the points in 15 to 18 feet of water. And I recommend that you go up in the north end and start looking for staging fish and fish that might start to ready to spawn. I've caught fish in Lake Welsh off beds on Christmas Day with snow on the ground. Now that's past years when the water was a lot warmer. But that's what you want to pay attention to. Athens, a lot of vegetation. Because of the vegetation, you can go over there too and fish those edges of the vegetation. Maybe a little weightless fluke, wacky worm, light Carolina rig, split shot rig on the edges, fall off the grass, and you can catch some fish there. what I want you to do, and I'm going to close you with this, is realize that this water temperature, the fish will get active when we have a 2 or 3 day warm trend, and the warm trend at night doesn't go below the water temperature. So if we have a 77 degree high and a 55 degree low today, let's just say, tonight's 55 degree, whatever warms today, we won't lose much of it at night. But if we have, those 30 degree nights, if the night's colder than the water temperature, we're cool trending. If the nighttime's warmer than the warm trend, we're probably warm trending. 2 good warm trends in a row. And you'd be surprised at how fast the square bills, traps, things like that produce fish in the shallow water and port. It's amazing. So really pay attention to, I call it the Texas two-step. We're forward some, backward some. We'll go up to, the backwaters too. I've seen little caney drop 20 degrees in 5-day warm trend, and then in a 1.5, 2 day cold trend go all the way back. From 49 degrees, I've seen little caney warm up to 70, 71, and it was a smash fest by the end of the week. All species. And then over the weekend, cold front, and it was gone. So just play that game. If you really want to stay with it, just subscribe to the Members Only channel. This is your invite. This was your Merry Christmas present, but this is your invite. Look in the description below and join our Members Only channel, because next year, now we're going to really step it all up. And we've got some cool things coming at you, both guiding on the water and off the water here in studio. And that's all I can say. So look in the the description below this video. There'll be a link that says Members Only. Click and come aboard. We'd love to have you. All right? All right, with that being said, guys, thank you so much, all of y'all. Hit the like button if you found this good. Comment below if you have any questions. You want to book a trip. 602-826-1524. And here's another Merry Christmas closure. I will give a $100 discount to anyone who books a guide trip in 2025 before the first of the year. So you have about 10 days. You book a trip for next year, you can save $100 right now on that trip by booking before January 1st. All right? Thanks again. Love y'all. Wish y'all great fishing. And Merry Christmas!